Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now I'm currently in Germany with the brand new BMW M2. I'm not a million miles away from the Nordschleife. Unfortunately, I can't take the car behind me on the Nürburgring, but I am surrounded by the most beautiful driving roads and a pretty special backdrop. So in this video, I'm going to take you for a walk around the brand new M2, give you my thoughts on it, and then we're going to go for a drive on some really very special German roads. So yes, this is the second generation BMW M2, the G87. And there's a lot to talk about. Firstly, its underpinnings are very much based around the BMW M4, only this car is shorter and more agile, but under the bonnet is the same engine. The M2, however, is available in two drivetrains, so you can have a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed auto. However, you can't have the xDrive system. They are only available in rear-wheel drive. And I think it's fair to say that the new M2 has divisive looks. I'll tell you now, when I first saw the spy shots of the new M2 come out, I wasn't convinced at all, especially the rear view. But having spent a lot of time with this car, either following it over the last few days driving out here to Germany or driving it, the looks are growing on me. But I can imagine there's still plenty of you out there that aren't comfortable with them yet. But before we talk about the M2 in more detail, I want to jump on the inside of the car and tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Nextbase Dashcams. So I'm sure many of you know I'm actually out here in Germany with Joe and Pat from the Drive Talk podcast. We're on a bit of a European road trip, and the trip has been made possible by the support of Nextbase Dashcams. Nextbase are a UK-based dashcam company, and they make some incredible bits of kit, but this latest dashcam is just full of awesome features. It does all the normal stuff you would expect a dashcam to do. It has a forward-facing camera, a cabin-facing camera, and a rear-facing camera. It has something called Live View, and I have an app on my phone, and I can basically connect into that dashcam at any point from anywhere and get a live view of what the cameras are seeing. So I'll put all the details of Nextbase in a pinned comment and in the description below, but check out the new IQ dashcam when it is available, because these are actually pre-production units, but this trip would not be possible without the support of Nextbase. So thank you guys very much. Now back to the M2 review. Now I think it's safe to say that the styling and looks of the new M2 are pretty mean and purposeful, very angular, very muscular, and it starts at the front of the car. It's not nearly as pretty as the 1M that we have with us on this trip. I don't think you could ever call this car pretty, but it is a car that has looks that grow, and hey, let's face it, the grills aren't too massive compared with other M cars. In terms of size, it's a very wide car. It feels quite big on the inside. It is shorter, and it has a shorter wheelbase than the M4 the underpinnings are based on, but it is a big, wide car, and it weighs in the region of 1,700 kilos, but it's got a lot of power. We'll talk about that in a moment. What about price though? How much is the new M2? Well, it's a little bit more expensive than when the last gen of M2 came out. The new M2 starts from £65,000, but you can put some expensive options on it. At this point, it's probably worth me saying that the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring, is about 200 yards that way, and there's a track day on. That's the noise in the background. So yeah, the starting price, when you want to start putting some options on, and this particular BMW UK press car has a very expensive option. The M Race Pack has the carbon roof and the awesome looking carbon bucket seats and some carbon trim on the inside, but that as a pack is an additional £9,000 there or thereabouts. So that suddenly makes the new M2 pretty punchy in terms of price. What's under the bonnet though? Now I mentioned earlier on in the video that this car has the same engine as the M4. It does, but it's running a different state of tune. It has the epic S58 3-litre straight-six twin turbo, but this engine is running 460 PS and 550 Newton meters of torque. Now, if you opt for the 8-speed auto, you will hit the 0 to 62 dash in 4.1 seconds. This 6-speed manual is a little bit slower at 4.3, which, let's face it, is still quick. And I'm pretty sure that in the real world, you're going to get quicker than that anyway. So it's a lovely, lovely engine to drive. It's got lots of torque and it really does propel the car down the road at a rate of knots. So, engine up front, big tick from me. Rear end styling? So what do we think? I've followed this car a lot over the last few days and it's a grower. It really is. I really didn't like the rear end styling when I first saw the press shots drop, but it's grown on me a great deal. It's not a pretty car. I don't think anybody, even though it's a grower, I don't think will ever end up becoming a pretty car. But it has grown on me, and I think the big wide hips on it, the kind of purposeful looks, it looks like an M car. It looks that kind of, you know, purposeful, mean, aggressive, muscular, all the things that we expect from an M car. But that doesn't mean to say it has to be ugly. There are plenty of mean, purposeful, muscular looking M cars out there that are still pretty and sleek. So I kind of understand why this car's going to have people who just aren't going to get on with the looks. For me, it's getting there. It's getting there. But let's jump on the inside, because the inside of this car is very special. But the most important thing about this review is I am surrounded in this particular part of Germany by some of the best roads ever. Sadly, we can't take it on the Nürburgring, but we can take it on some local German roads and have a bit of fun. But before we do that, let me just quickly jump on the inside and talk to you about driving position and the most amazing seats. Wow. Where do we start? Should we start with these seats? They're a very, very expensive option, but they are, well, they're a thing of great beauty. I love the coloured trim pieces, but also the carbon backs to them. They're just stunning, stunning things. So supportive. However, I have a slight challenge with them. Now, when you look at the way the pedals are in the new M2, they are offset to the right quite a bit. So the clutch pedal is pretty much not on the left as you'd imagine. It's down the middle of the seat, and then you've got clutch, brake, throttle. So that means that my legs are a little bit kind of counted over that way. And on these seats, there's a main central part with a nice bit of carbon fibre detailing. But I just find it's designed as a seat for your legs to go perfectly straight out the front. And my left one isn't. It's coming over that way a little bit. So it just feels a little bit, not uncomfortable, but just not quite right. Put that to one side, you're sat very low in this car, and it takes quite a lot of getting used to, because you're looking almost straight down the bonnet. And I know you can raise the seat up a little bit, but I do like to sit low. But this is about as low a feeling in a car as I've felt for a long time. And the driving position is really nice, pretty good to be fair. And then you've got this 6-speed box. We'll talk about that when we're out on the road. And then you've got this sweep of a screen. It's a real standout piece. It's running the latest operating system 8, and there's some really nice widgets that you can do to customize this. The two most important ones, there's the ability to turn the speed bong off with one swipe and the ability to turn lane departure warning off with one swipe. I like that very, very much. But for me, this review isn't so much about the onboard tech. It's all about driving this car. So let's go and find some decent roads and take it for a drive, shall we? Driving through width restrictors like that is where you really do get to feel the width of this new M2. But where do I start? Well, first up, you're sat really low. You're almost looking over the bonnet. It gives you a very kind of race car feel. But this is a road car, and unless you change the drive modes and when you just mooch, it just feels like a really nice place to do a long journey. It's not intimidating in any way, shape or form. It feels quite sturdy on the road, although that front end is quite sharp and precise. It's not quite as sharp as something like my Boxster, for example, but it does feel really, really nice. But the challenge you've got with this car for me is when you get on a nice bit of road, it's very difficult to be sensible. It's very difficult to, I don't know, keep control, because all you want to do is push on a bit. So if you want to push on, there's 2 programmable M buttons on the steering wheel when you can put your own individual settings, or you can go onto the drive mode controllers just to the right of the gear stick. Now M2 is set everything on sport apart from the suspension, which is on comfort, which is quite nice. And we can push on and enjoy this road, because roads in Germany really are lovely. Now, one of the things I would say is this car gathers pace awesomely. It's got such a large amount of power, 460 bhp. On the brakes it feels nice. You've got an auto blip feature. It just has a really nice feeling to it. Nice big long sweeping right hander there. Noise wise, it's quite muted from the exhaust. There's a small amount of baffles or rumbles on liftoff, but it's not too shouty and barky, and that's because of all the filters in it. And I think that's a little bit disappointing for me. It's an M car, you want it to sound raucous and shouty, but on a lovely flowing fast bit of country road in Germany, this car is just wicked. Down to second. It's got a lot of torque, so actually it's quite tall geared. It'll do 70 miles an hour in second. So you don't really, on a road like this, need anything other than second and third. You're going to be doing plenty of speed just with those 2 gears. It's wide, but you can still place the car nicely on the road, but on the way out of the corner, it's got so much grunt and so much pull. Deals with the road surface nicely, although to be quite honest, the road surfaces over here in Germany are so much better than ours in the UK. But oh, look at this road. Do you know what, I might live in Germany and do my car reviews over here, because it's so much better. It's just so composed around the corners into a built-up area. Boo. Now, this manual box is lovely, and I do love a manual. I can't tell you what the auto's like because I haven't driven it. Another thing I can't do is tell you what this is like compared to the old M2 or M2 comp, because the only one of those I've driven was a Palmer Sport, and it was a kind of track focused, race prepared one. It was very good, but honestly, this car on the right bit of road, it has all the right ingredients. Rear wheel drive, lots of power, nice brakes, the steering feel. I know, talking to Joe, this is his long termer, he's not massively a fan of the steering feel. I don't find it that bad, but it's the poise on the road for me. It's a playful car. The more you push on, see, now I'm going to stay in third, plenty of torque, pull myself out of here and then lean on the gas, pull myself up what is quite a big gradient, and then we're going to turn right here, I think. Go back up, nothing coming, here we go. Oh, nearly did a Joe. The only thing I would say is I'm sat solo. This central bolster's a bit high. I keep banging my elbow on it when I'm changing gear. I feel like my left shoulder's kind of pushed up into my body a little bit, and that's why that not a misshift, but just struggled a little bit. I'm being super picky here because honestly, as a car, it's very, very difficult to beat. Quick review, I know. Final impressions of the new M2. it's a lot of money. That's my first impression. You know, from 65 grand, this one with this £9,000 carbon seat, carbon roof, carbon trim option, these seats are amazing, and the weight saving is, I guess, a useful thing, but it's a lot of money, £9,000. In terms of how it makes you feel as a driver, the more you lean on it, the quicker you go, the better it gets. It's very playful. It's a brilliant thing down a lovely bit of German road like this. Would it be a car for me? I'm trying to sit here, and I know this is a kind of coupe, it's got seats in the back, and I've got a Boxster which is a convertible, but if I was to compare it with something like a Cayman, I think I'd get much more driving feel, much more feedback from the car in a Cayman. This is a 1700 kilo coupe format car, but it's really very good. It's a shame I can't get it on the track, to be fair, but it is really very good. And when you've got a lovely bit of road like this and you can push on, it delivers that thing you want from a driver's car. Huge amounts of grins, massive grin factor in this car. Guys, put in the comments below, what do you think of the new M2? Break it down into styling on one side and just general desirability from a performance point of view. 460 horsepower, manual driver's cars, they're rare things these days. And the engagement you get when you have to swap cogs yourself and every now and again do it wrong. But for me, that increases the driving joy, because when you get it right, you know it's you, right? It's not just the car swapping cogs for you, it's you. And that, for me, that's the essence of what a driver's car is. Being able to experience this car, driving it out to Germany on these lovely roads, has been quite something. Yeah, very, very good. Big thumbs up from me. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film. Take care, guys. Drive safe.